Hi everybody, this is Stuart. Happy New Year and welcome back to the Aurora Life channel. Today we will talk about distressing moments and how you self-care. I think the simplest way to talk about self-care is to look at the aeroplane analogy. There's always this announcement that tells you that whenever the oxygen masks drop down, attend to yourself first before you attend to anyone else. And the reason is very simple. It just takes a split second for you to get knocked out and you won't be able to recover from that. So what's important is, how do we get to the point where we recognize self-care? There are what I consider to be conscious as well as unconscious triggers that happen to us that cause us a flux of emotional, physical, psychological unrest. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because you guys probably would have seen my initial video on why we started the Aurora Life channel. Aurora's the name of our cat, and she's a lovely little thing, very playful. But at the same time, it took us a little bit of unraveling in order to come to a space where we could even love a creature like that. During the period of time prior to actually adopting Aurora, one of our previous rehomed cats, Flower, died of cancer. And my dad had just a few months ago also died of cancer. So one of the challenges was to be able to recognize that we were on a journey. And it wasn't a journey which was very pleasant. And you and I both know that you cannot take out the suffering out of life, but you can learn to make it meaningful. So through our journey, we've come to realize that, hey, self-care is extremely important. If we're not taking care of ourselves, it doesn't make sense for us to care for other people. And I know this because there's a subtle message to those of you who might be nurses, teachers, caregivers of the elderly or the sick. You need to get yourself in check. Otherwise, you're going to have this constant outpouring of energy and you're not able to reclaim it for yourself. And as a result, you take shortcut measures. Turns out that you end up putting on weight, getting fatty liver, whatever it might be, because you're taking shortcuts to improving your energy. So I started to do some reflection and I realized that my own personal reflection had fallen short of what I expected for the last few months. I had deliberately in the month of October decided that I will do daily journaling, and then I stopped for about a month until the start of this year. So, reviewing all the journal entries that I made, I realized, wow, if I did daily journal entries, I would have less to write about. But if I waited for a month, my journal entries would be really long. And no wonder it takes a lot of time, and no wonder a lot of people don't want to get started. But that's the point. A lot of us, we end up not being able to self-care because we don't have data. We don't understand ourselves well enough. We haven't kept track, and therefore we cannot keep track of improvements as well as areas that we need to continue to improve in. I would highly recommend that you go through a process of starting to discern. I had a video call. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to put up the recording of that video call, at least snippets of it, asking why it is that people don't get started in terms of personal reflection. It's because there's so much to reflect upon. And when you have a lot of things to do, it's going to be really daunting for you to do it, right? So in my opinion, it's all about being able to get started and to be able to accumulatively become better over time. So think about your physical well-being, for example. Are you sleeping well? Are you eating well? Are you eating clean, right? Emotionally, are you constantly getting triggered by things around you? And of course, there are conscious as well as unconscious triggers. Unconscious triggers are things that I recommend that people confront, and they find opportunities to really dive deep in order to confront these issues. It could be a fear of authority, you don't know where that came from. It could be a fear of money and greed and all that kind of stuff, which is probably from a time which you're not even conscious of. So you need to explore. And how you should explore, go to my videos. It's a very lengthy video on the process of discernment. And as you go through that, you're going to have to consciously respond to the things that you're constantly pushing yourself away from. Now, remember, sometimes avoidance is one of the most important indicators that something is happening to you, right? That you're constantly creating this barrier or this cushion so that you won't feel awkward or uncomfortable. Unfortunately, those are the places that I'd like you to go to. I personally want to go to places like that. Whenever someone makes a comment that's offensive or something that kind of triggers me, I need to stop and think about where it came from and what decision I was tempted to make. Because that knee-jerk reaction is an unconscious trigger and response. I don't want that. I want to be able to think about that and recognize whether or not I want the behavior in the first place. If I don't want it, at least I have a chance to change it. And how you can change it is through understanding your personal habits. So discernment, being able to craft new habits and then be able to plan your way forward in order to decide that every single step of the way has become conscious rather than just, your own unconscious fancy. So through our journey, we've discovered that, so much that's buried in the past. We can't take every single thing out at one go. We need to do it on a regular basis because, just like journaling, I realized over that last month I didn't journal. There were a lot of things that I had been keeping unresolved, and I needed to bring it up, list it all down, and boy, that journal entry was really, really long. But at least I have data and I can keep going at it. But can you imagine if you haven't journaled for 10 years, 15 years, there's going to be even more to jot down. So I'd say clear things up on a regular basis. When you cook, you clean up your dishes. If you cook and you don't clean up your dishes, that's going to accumulate in your sink. What are you going to do? You're going to buy another wok, buy another pot? No, you got to clean that stuff, go get it done, go use the same instrument in order for you to cook your food again. So it's the same thing with habitual things. Go look and study habitual processes and performance, because if you are not able to habitually self-care, then in my honest opinion, you have no business caring for other people. Go out there, don't think of self-care as being selfish. Instead, think of it as assisting yourself to be stronger for the sake of other people. And then you realize that not only can you create more meaning for the trials and tribulations that you go through, but also utilize that to elevate other people, help other people to become even more effective in what they do because of your self-care, right? So I hope that this video will act and function as a reminder for you to constantly become aware of the self-care measures. If you're not able to self-care, go back to the dimensions of energy that I talked about and start there. It's extremely important that you start somewhere on this channel, and I hope that I'll be continuing as your companion if you subscribe to this channel and if you share this with other people whom you feel need to get out of a rut. Now, I have been dealing with a lot of self-care issues, and a lot of them lead to mental well-being issues. At least in Singapore, the top 5: depression, alcohol abuse disorder, anxiety disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder, as well as schizophrenia. These are issues that, in my opinion, come as a result of cumulative trauma, not necessarily a type of trauma like a car accident or someone breaking your limb, but a simple trauma like somebody saying something that triggers you reflexively, something that caused you to feel down. Maybe that particular day, you don't know why, but your energy just dropped. Like for me, it was yesterday. I didn't know why. My energy just completely plummeted after 2 p.m. And as I reflected, I realized it was my nutrition. It was something that I was eating that was wrong. No wonder I crashed so badly. So as you keep a data record of the things that happen in your life, it becomes so much easier. Go take a look at my video on journaling and you'll understand why this is so important. And over the course of time, I believe that things like depression, alcohol abuse disorder, you realize that these are nothing more than the symptoms of a much deeper series of traumas that have happened much earlier in your life. If you want to, go check out all of these by doing simple, basic reflections. That is self-care. That is taking a look at the root cause of your emotional, psychological, physical deficiencies and then confronting them. Because the courage to confront is also the creative capacity for us to think about what else we want instead, the ability to create our future, the one that we truly want. So, did you learn anything from that video? If you did, just give it a thumbs up and then click on the subscribe button and hit the notifications icon so that you and I will continue to stay in touch and I can provide you with updates whenever we have new videos.